Welcome back, MVP Road Car family. Today we're diving deep into one of the most iconic names in automotive history, and it has returned in a completely modernized way. The 2026 Volkswagen Beetle is here, and it's not just a revival, it's a complete reimagination of a cultural legend. From the exterior styling to the cabin experience, to the way it performs on the road and even its pricing, we're going through every detail, so by the end of this video, you'll know whether this car is worth the hype and potentially a spot in your driveway. The Beetle has always been about character. Even people who don't know much about cars recognize its silhouette. And Volkswagen has leaned into that heritage while also pushing the design forward. Right away when you see it, you can tell it's a Beetle. But this 2026 version feels futuristic. The front end is much smoother and more aerodynamic, with slimmer LED headlights that still keep that circular Beetle charm. There's a light bar that stretches across the nose, giving it a modern electric car vibe. The hood curves are tighter, and the front bumper is more integrated with subtle air channels to reduce drag. Along the sides, you get that familiar rounded roofline that flows into the rear in one elegant sweep. But unlike the old Beetle, this one sits lower and wider, giving it a sportier stance. Depending on the trim, you can get wheels ranging from 18 to 21 inches. And Volkswagen has introduced some really vibrant paint colors that nod to the Beetle's playful past. Things like retro pastel blue, sunflower yellow, and even a two-tone option that feels like a modern version of the 1960s Beetle personality. The flush door handles, hidden aerodynamic tricks, and clean panel gaps all make it look more upscale than any Beetle before it. Moving to the back, the taillights are now a continuous LED strip, tying together the rounded rear end. The hatch is wide, and depending on whether you go with the standard or performance model, you'll notice subtle differences like a sportier rear diffuser or even a small retractable spoiler. Overall, the exterior makes the Beetle stand out again, not as a nostalgic relic, but as something genuinely contemporary. Stepping inside is where Volkswagen really surprises. The interior has always been the weak point in older Beetles. Quirky but cheap. This time, they've turned it into something that feels premium, playful, and tech-driven all at once. The dashboard has a sweeping design with color-matched accents that echo the exterior paint. If you pick a green Beetle, you'll see subtle green highlights around the vents and stitching. If you pick white, you'll see a contrasting interior that keeps it airy and bright. At the center is a large, floating 15-inch touchscreen running Volkswagen's latest infotainment system, with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and even an AI-powered voice assistant that can adjust your climate or suggest routes based on your habits. The driver gets a fully digital 12-inch display, crisp and customizable. What's cool is the nostalgic touches they've added. The glove box still opens downward like the classic Beetle. And there's a tiny flower holder on the dash, a nod to the models from the 2000s. The seats are available in vegan leather or recycled fabric blends, but don't let that fool you. They're supportive, well-cushioned and heated and ventilated in higher trims. Space-wise, this Beetle has grown. Thanks to the electric platform underneath, the floor is flat, meaning rear passengers get more legroom than ever before. Two adults can sit comfortably in the back, something that wasn't always true in earlier Beetles. Cargo space is also improved, with a decent trunk and even a small front storage compartment. When it comes to performance, this is where the new Beetle completely separates itself from its past. Gone is the small gas engine, and in its place is a fully electric drivetrain. The base model comes with a single motor on the rear wheels producing around 250 horsepower, which already makes it much quicker than the Beetles we remember. 0 to 60 happens in about 6.5 seconds, which is plenty for city and highway driving. Step up to the dual-motor all-wheel drive version, and things get more exciting. That version pushes closer to 370 horsepower, with a 0 to 60 time around 4.7 seconds. It feels almost hot hatch quick, but with the smooth, instant torque delivery you expect from an EV. The handling benefits from the battery placement under the floor, keeping the center of gravity low. It corners flatter, feels more planted, and you get the sense that this Beetle isn't just for cruising around town anymore. It can genuinely put a smile on your face on twisty roads. Volkswagen has tuned the ride to strike a nice balance. Around town, it's soft and comfortable, but in sport mode, it tightens up just enough to feel responsive. The steering is light at low speeds, making parking and maneuvering easy, but firms up on the highway for more stability. Regenerative braking is adjustable, so you can set it to coast like a regular car or crank it up for one-pedal driving. Range is another strong point. The standard version with the smaller battery gives you about 270 miles on a full charge, while the extended battery pushes that to around 340 miles. Fast charging capability is built in, allowing you to go from 10% to 80% in about 28 minutes if you're plugged into a high-speed charger. That makes it a practical EV for daily use, commuting, and even some road trips. Technology and safety features are abundant. Every Beetle comes with adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring, and automatic emergency braking. Higher trims add features like augmented reality heads-up display, a 360-degree camera system, and even semi-autonomous driving for highway cruising. Volkswagen is clearly positioning the Beetle not just as a retro fun car, but as a legitimate competitor in the modern EV space. Now let's talk about pricing, because this is always where people get curious. Volkswagen knows the Beetle has wide appeal, so they've set it up with multiple trims. The base model starts around $32,000, which puts it in the same ballpark as something like a Hyundai Kona EV or Nissan Leaf Plus. The mid-range, long-range trim is expected to be closer to $38,000, while the dual-motor performance model will likely top out around $45,000 fully loaded. For what you're getting, the design, the tech, the improved space, and the performance, it's actually a competitive price point in today's EV market. So what's the takeaway here? The 2026 Volkswagen Beetle isn't just a nostalgia play. It's a full reinvention that honors the past while being completely ready for the future. The design immediately connects you to the heritage, but the execution feels new and premium. The interior finally gives you quality and space, while still holding on to the playful touches that make the Beetle special. And performance-wise, it's leaps and bounds beyond any Beetle before it, now delivering speed, handling, and range that make it a serious contender among compact EVs. This car is perfect for someone who wants character in their daily driver but doesn't want to compromise on technology or modern performance. It's for people who remember the Beetle fondly, and for a whole new generation who will see it not as a retro throwback but as a stylish, fun EV in its own right. So the big question is the Beetle back for good this time? From what we're seeing, the answer is yes. This feels like more than just another reboot. It feels like Volkswagen has found a way to carry the spirit of the Beetle into an electric future. And if the market responds the way I think it will, the Beetle could become a common sight on roads once again. That wraps up our deep dive into the 2026 Volkswagen Beetle. If you enjoyed this review and want more detailed looks at upcoming cars, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next on MVP Road Car.